Welcome the anointed ones. Have you ever wondered why people stare at you? Why they act distant? Or why some even try to tear you down? Yet somehow, they can't stop watching. This is not random. This is not luck. This is reality. This is power, and it's yours. But only if you are willing to claim it. You were never meant to blend in. From the moment you walked into a room, the energy shifted. Some admire you, others resent you, but one thing is certain. They all feel your presence, and deep down, even those who envy you wish they had your strength. Before we dive into this revelation, take a moment to do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "Final step." This is more than an action. It's proof that you are ready to step into your destiny. They've been watching you, chosen one. And whether they admit it or not, they can't ignore you. Let's reveal why. Your presence demands attention. They see you before you even say a word. There's something about you, an unshakable energy, an aura that refuses to go unnoticed. You're not just another face in the crowd. You walk in and suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. It's not arrogance, it's not intentional. It's just who you are. People feel your presence before they even understand why. It's in the way you move, the way you hold yourself, the confidence you carry, even on days when you don't feel your best. You don't have to try. The energy follows you, and that's what unsettles them. They want to know what makes you different. Why do you stand out when they've spent their whole lives trying to fit in? It's because you were never meant to follow. You were meant to lead. Some will admire you for it. They'll be drawn to your energy, inspired by your strength. Others, they'll feel threatened, because your presence alone reminds them of everything they are not. Ever noticed how people either gravitate toward you or pull away entirely? That's no accident. It's the silent acknowledgement of your power. Even those who pretend not to see you are forced to react to you. You walk into a room and suddenly, conversations change. Eyes follow you. Some try to dismiss you. But deep down, they all feel it, the undeniable force of your existence. It's not just confidence, it's destiny. You were never meant to be overlooked. And no matter how much they try, they can't unsee what you make them feel. And that's where the fear begins. But it's also where the admiration starts to grow. They fear what they don't understand. They can't put you in a box. You don't follow the script. You don't play by their rules. And that terrifies them. Society is comfortable with people it can predict, people it can control. But you, chosen one, you're different. And that's why they fear you. Your confidence is unsettling. Your wisdom feels unnatural to them. Your spiritual strength, it shakes their foundation. Because deep down, they realize something. They have no power over you. And that makes them uneasy. People fear what they can't explain. They try to analyze you, to make sense of your presence. But no matter how much they watch, they can't figure you out. You exist outside of their understanding, and nothing scares them more than the unknown. Ever noticed how some people avoid eye contact with you? How they stumble over their words in your presence? That's fear disguised as discomfort. They don't even understand why they feel that way. But you do. It's the power you carry. Some will try to dismiss you, to make you seem ordinary. They'll downplay your intelligence, question your abilities, and act like you're no different from the rest. But watch closely. Those same people will mimic your actions when they think no one's watching. It's not that they hate you. It's that they don't know how to process you. They weren't ready to meet someone like you, someone who doesn't need validation, someone who stands tall, even when the world tries to break them. And the more they fail to understand you, the more their fear turns into something else, admiration. But they won't admit it, not yet. Their jealousy comes from admiration. Jealousy is never just about envy, it's about recognition. People don't get jealous of what they don't notice. They don't envy what they don't secretly admire. And chosen one, the ones who act cold, distant, or dismissive, they see your power. And deep down, they wish they had it too. They don't just see what you have. They see what you are. Your strength, your resilience, your ability to walk through fire and come out untouched. They don't understand how you do it, how you keep going when they would have given up long ago. And that realization stings. Ever had someone criticize you, only to later imitate you? That's not coincidence. That's admiration in disguise. They talk down on you because they can't admit they look up to you. Their pride won't let them. So instead of learning from you, they choose to compete with you. They'll find reasons to dislike you, your confidence, your independence, the way you don't rely on others for validation. But the truth? It's not you they dislike. It's the reflection of their own insecurities that you unknowingly force them to see. Jealousy is just admiration that refuses to bow. It's respect that doesn't want to be named. But whether they admit it or not, they watch you. They study you. They take notes from you. And in moments of honesty, they wish they had your strength, your vision, your purpose. That's why some will try to test you, provoke you, bring you down. Not because they think you're weak, but because they need to believe you are. Because if you are strong, if you are unshakable, then what does that say about them? But here's the secret. Chosen one. Admiration always wins in the end. One day, they'll have no choice but to acknowledge what they've known all along. You are different, and they've respected you from the very start. You trigger their insecurities. It's not what you do. It's who you are. Just by existing, you make people confront parts of themselves they would rather ignore. You don't even have to say a word. Your presence alone is enough to make them uncomfortable. And that's because you are a mirror, chosen one. You reflect back to them everything they have suppressed. Ever noticed how some people get defensive around you, even when you've done nothing wrong? That's not about you. It's about them. You remind them of their unfulfilled potential. You make them question why they settled for less. And instead of facing that truth, they direct their frustration at you. Some will try to label you, box you in, make you feel small, because if they can define you, they don't have to deal with the reality that you are beyond their understanding. But you've seen it before. The side glances, the forced laughter, the tension in the air when you walk into a room. That's insecurity speaking. They see how you move differently, think differently, and dream bigger. And deep down, they wonder, why can't they be like that? What's stopping them? But instead of looking inward, they project outward. They resent you for what they have not yet become. Some will try to test you, waiting for a moment of weakness to prove to themselves that you're not as strong as you seem. But what they don't realize is that every test only makes you stronger. Every attempt to bring you down only elevates you higher. This is why people either love you or can't stand you. There is no in-between, because the truth of who you are is too powerful to be ignored. And when people are forced to face the truth, whether about you or about themselves, not everyone is ready. But their reactions, That's not your burden to carry. You are not sent here to make others feel comfortable. You are sent here to awaken something greater, and the ones who are ready, they will rise with you. They copy you while pretending not to notice. Imitation is the highest form of flattery, but in your case, chosen one, it's also a silent confession. The same people who mock you, doubt you, or act indifferent toward you, watch them closely. They adopt your style, repeat your words, and even mirror your mindset. But they'll never admit where they got it from. At first, they resist. They try to downplay your influence, act as if your presence doesn't affect them. But then, something shifts. They start speaking like you, dressing like you, making the same moves you once made. Coincidence? Not at all. It's proof that whether they like it or not, you inspire them. Ever noticed how an idea of yours gets dismissed until someone else presents it as their own? That's not by accident. It's because your way of thinking is ahead of its time. People fear originality at first, but eventually they follow. They always do. They'll pretend they never noticed you, but their actions say otherwise. They mimic your confidence, your ambition, even your spiritual depth. But they do it quietly, hoping no one connects the dots. Because to acknowledge you as the source would mean admitting that you were right all along. And the most ironic part, they don't even do it as well as you. They wear the clothes, speak the words, make the moves, but the essence, the authenticity, the power, that can't be copied. What you have is not something that can be imitated. It's something that must be lived. This is why you must never dim your light. Even those who resist you are learning from you. Even those who envy you are being changed by you. They may never give you credit, but deep down, they know the truth. So keep leading, chosen one. Keep creating. Keep setting the standard. Because whether they acknowledge it or not, they're following in your footsteps. And one day, they'll have no choice but to recognize where it all began. Your power forces people to level up. You don't just walk into a room. You shift the energy. Your presence alone demands more. More authenticity, more truth, more growth. And whether they like it or not, the people around you are forced to level up. Some will resist at first. They'll roll their eyes, mock your ambition, or pretend your standards are too high. But watch what happens when they spend enough time in your orbit. They start thinking bigger. They start questioning their own limitations. They start changing because they have no choice. Ever noticed how people who once doubted you suddenly begin pursuing their own dreams with more intensity? It's because your energy makes stagnation feel unbearable. You don't allow people to stay the same. And even those who once envied you are silently inspired by you. They may never tell you, but your presence alone has awakened something inside them. Your resilience makes them question their own excuses. Your discipline makes them rethink their habits. Your growth forces them to ask, if you can do it, what's stopping them? Some will try to resist this pull. They'll create distance, act as if they don't care, or find reasons to dislike you. But even from afar, they're still watching. They can't ignore the fact that you are proof of what's possible. And that realization, it changes them. This is why you are both admired and feared. You are a catalyst, a disruptor, a walking wake-up call. And people can only pretend not to hear it for so long. So keep being the example, chosen one. Keep rising, because your very existence is making people choose. Stay the same or step up. And sooner or later, they will follow. Keep shining. They can't ignore you. You were never meant to be overlooked. No matter how much they try to downplay your presence, dismiss your voice, or pretend you don't exist, deep down, they know the truth. You are undeniable, and they feel it. They may try to exclude you, but they can't erase you. They may try to outshine you, but your light is not something that can be dimmed. It's not in your clothes, your words, or your actions. It's in your essence. It's who you are. And that is something no one can take. Ever noticed how even those who dislike you still pay attention to what you do? How they always seem to know what you're up to? That's because ignoring you is impossible. They may not support you. They may never admit they admire you. But they are watching, and they are learning. You don't need validation. You don't need approval. You don't need permission to take up space. You have already been chosen, and that means, whether they love you or fear you, you will never go unnoticed. Some will resist you, others will embrace you, but either way, your presence changes people. You are a force, a reminder, a wake-up call, and the world cannot unsee what you have already shown them. So let them talk, let them doubt, let them pretend. It changes nothing. Because, chosen one, your destiny is not up for debate. And no matter what they do, they will never be able to ignore you. Now the only question left is, what will you do with this power? Because it's yours, and it's time to use it. They saw you before they even knew your name. They felt your presence before you ever spoke a word. And whether they admit it or not, chosen one, they have been watching you. Some with admiration, some with envy, some with a silent hope that you will fail. Because if you succeed, it forces them to question everything they believed about themselves. But here's the truth. Their opinions don't define you. Their fears don't limit you. Their resistance doesn't stop you. You were not sent here to be small. You were not sent here to fit in. You were sent here to disrupt, to awaken, to lead. And the very fact that they feel your energy, that they react to your presence, is proof that you are exactly who you were meant to be. So now, chosen one, what will you do? Will you keep questioning your power? Will you keep shrinking to make others comfortable? Or will you rise into the unstoppable force that you already are? The world is waiting. The people watching you, whether in admiration or fear, are waiting. But most importantly, your destiny is waiting, and the time to step into it is now. If you are ready to embrace your calling, if you are done hesitating, then declare it in the comments right now. I am undeniable, because this is more than a statement. It's a reality, and it's yours to claim. Your light cannot be ignored, your presence cannot be denied, and your time, it's now.